Talio there, champs, and welcome to the show. I hope you're all doing well out there. Today we're going to be doing my gaming review of the Alienware 15-inch R3 gaming laptop. Now, I have done a review on that. You can check that out, and I'll leave a link in the description and a card up there, so definitely worth checking out that review. Now, I have done a BIOS update since the review, so it does have a different BIOS firmware, and that did change things, not so much in the benchmarks of the graphics card, but more to do with temperatures and how stable the temperatures were. And there wasn't anything wrong with the temperatures beforehand. Some people say they were a little bit high, but for a gaming laptop I don't think they were that bad. But definitely, if you get one of these, definitely check the BIOS and update it to the latest for the best performance. Now, the Alienware 15 I'm using here has the GTX 1060 in it. Now, you can get a 1070 model, and if you're going to get the 120Hz 1080p display and you want to get the most out of it, you're probably better off with the 1070. But in saying that, the 1060 just smashes 1080p gaming. It's a great graphics card, and it's really astounding the performance we get in gaming laptops these days. Only a year ago, this sort of performance, I mean, you would have to have something that you couldn't even pick up really. And this Alienware 15 is really trimmed down compared to the last model. So let's get into the benchmark. Now, even though I've updated the BIOS, it's pretty much the same as in my full review. Battlefield 1 Ultra settings, 1080p, 84 frames per second there. Now, compared to a desktop using a GTX 1060, I was getting 95 frames per second. So there's a 10 frames per second difference there. And there's a reason for that, and that's because the desktop 1060's base clock is 1506 megahertz, where the laptop 1060 is 1405 megahertz. So there's a 100 megahertz difference there. That's not going to make that much difference. It's not going to make 10 frames per second difference, but you've got to remember, you're talking a laptop CPU versus a desktop CPU. You know, you've got a 45 watt part versus conceivably a 140 watt part CPU in the desktop. You're going to get a little bit of a bottleneck in the CPU, and the extra 100 megahertz that the desktop 1060 has does make a little bit of difference, and that's where you'll see the differences. Now, the differences aren't that huge, as I just said there. Battlefield 1, 10 frames per second difference there. In Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, you got 69 frames per second, 1080p high settings. That's a really good score for Mankind Divided, and it actually was faster than the desktop in that scenario. It was a couple of frames faster. I don't know why that is. I'll have to test that again on the desktop. These are just going from the scores from my GTX 1060 review, which you can check out the review on that. I reviewed the 1060 Strix card. GTA 5 Ultra settings, 88 frames per second on the Alienware, and that's 95 frames per second on the desktop. So again, not that much difference. I mean, you're talking the difference there of 7 frames per second. 7 frames per second at 1080p, although it is a little bit, it's not a huge deal. 7 frames at 4K is a lot, but 7 frames at 1080p, especially when you're getting already 88 frames per second, I mean, you can't complain about that. Crysis 3, very high settings, 1080p, 57, or let's just say 58 frames per second there, compared to the desktop of 70 frames per second. And I think that's the biggest difference I had between the desktop and the Alienware laptop. So you're still getting desktop class performance in your laptop, but of course the CPUs are much more powerful in desktops, and that gives you that little bit of edge, as I just said there. So the Alienware 15 gets a Firestrike score of 9,694, and the desktop gets 11,840. So again, that same sort of gap there. But what I can say is, definitely playing games on this Alienware 15-inch, I noticed no difference from playing it on my desktop at the same resolution. It feels the same. It actually feels better because I had the 120Hz screen. And sorry for the planes going past, because we're in the flight path here at the moment. We're not usually, but sometimes this depends on the wind or whatever it is. I apologise for that. But yeah, as I was saying, it definitely feels more connected on the Alienware compared to my desktop, just because of that 120Hz display there. It just makes it feel a bit more connected, and the frames per second difference between the desktop and the laptop, I really don't notice it. Once you get around 60 frames per second, 60, 70, you know, I can't tell the difference really, to be honest. So this Alienware just smashes 1080p gaming. It's a really awesome, great laptop, and I definitely recommend this laptop. It's definitely great. So when I was gaming GTA 5, as you can see here, and I'll just look at its temperatures there, and you can see it does not throttle at all. it's always above its base clock. It's usually over 1600 megahertz, so it's definitely well into its boost clock and well above its base speed all the time consistently, so it doesn't throttle at all. Same with the CPU. The CPU is running over 3 gigahertz, so heat is well controlled, and it's almost just like a flat line. Since this BIOS update, it's almost flatlining on 71 degrees. Like, it doesn't move up a degree or two, it just flatlines on 71 degrees. And it's just amazing that it does that. And the only thing you might see fluctuate a tiny bit is the boost clock, but it's still well above its specified base clock, so it doesn't throttle. You don't have to worry about thermals. A lot of people are saying they have some thermal issues with it. Just update your BIOS and this thing, no thermal issues. You can even have it on your lap. I've done it. And for a gaming laptop, the noise isn't that bad. So there you have it. That's my gaming review of the Alienware 15-inch R3 gaming laptop. Definitely recommended there. Great laptop for gaming, desktop performance in a laptop. Take it with you anywhere, and it doesn't throttle. Performs flawlessly since this BIOS update. No thermal issues. And what more do you want in a gaming laptop? So I'll just run some full benchmarks here. Full GTA 5 benchmark and the Firestrike benchmark. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you're new around here, make sure you subscribe. I do have a lot more tech content coming, so watch out for that. And again, thank you for watching, guys, and until next time, tally ho.